Hello everyone, let's take a quick look at how we're going to complete assignment number 2. So for assignment number 2, we're looking at a lot of some of the very basic concepts that we already covered with assignment number 1. So for this one, we need to create a document 8.5 by 11. We're going to choose one of the 3 color palettes that have been provided. We're going to take the image that they've given to us for number 3, and we're going to modify it and adjust it and make a color scheme. We're going to use about 90 or 10%. Well, it depends really on what you want to choose, what kind of color proportions you want in that space based on those accent colors. You're going to add the color swatches, 5 to 6. One color you can choose, one you can switch out, you can change. And of course, you need to include a text 200 to 250 words. And you need to do this twice. So what does that look like? So this is my first option. Option number 1, and of course, don't forget the other presentation requirements such as your name and project name and title page and so on and so forth. So this is my option number 1. I've got my 6 color swatches. I've changed out the dark gray for the red. I've included a text. The text is about 200 words exactly, and it's 12 point and Times New Roman font. And of course, this is the image, and it has been modified. So the ceiling, the walls, the fireplace, the borders on the floor, the flooring, the carpet, the sofa, and some of the cushions have been modified. So you can see you need to make sure that you've modified enough of the space to make it look different. And you need to create 2 different color schemes. So this is option number 1. You should have also an option number 2. All right, let's take a look. First things first, I'm going to have to open up the second assignment. As I open up the PDF, notice it'll give me all the pages. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select page 4 and page 5, and I'm going to press OK. They're going to open up on separate tabs. For the color tab, I'm going to quickly use the lasso tool. So these are the tools that were introduced to you at the end of module 4. You've got the quick selection tool, you've got the magic wand, you've got, beside it, you've got the lasso tool, you've got the polygonal lasso tool, and you've got the magnetic lasso tool. So we use pretty much all of them. The only one I don't use is the lasso tool because it's not as precise for this application. So you actually could use the lasso tool just to grab your color swatches like this. I actually will use the quick selection tool, which is right here. And then I will just drag it over the colors and it'll quickly select it and go to the boundaries. So if there's a clear distinction between the boundaries, it'll easily select that. So I'm going to copy, Control C. I'm going to bring that. Oh, I don't even have my document yet. So I have to create a new document. Sorry about that. It's going to be 11 by 8.5, and that's going to be landscape. 300 pixels per inch, CMYK color, 8-bit. So here's my document, here's my color palette. So from this color palette, I'm going to create color swatches, similar to what we've done with assignment number 1. You're going to create your squares, you're going to color them based on the selections that you have here. And remember, I can always create copies by holding down the Alt key. You see the cursor doubles? You can drag that and create doubles. And of course, by clicking on the box for each tool, you can change the color with the color selection. The color picker tool will allow you to change the colors. That one is that, and this last one will be this one. All right, so now that I'm finished with my color selections, I can quickly adjust my palette as need to be. And don't forget, your colors should actually represent the quantity that you're using in the space. So my first top 3 are accent colors, so they're smaller. My bottom 3 are dominants. They're going to be larger. So the dominant gray covers the large floor, the dominant green covers the walls, and the dominant white covers the ceiling. All right, going back to my other copy here. So let me just rotate them and adjust the size. Okay, so I will adjust the sizes later on. I'm not going to do that now because for time purposes, we need to get going. I don't have, I can't go longer than a 15-minute video. All right, so I'm just going to crop the image, make it clean and cut, and accept that. I'm going to rotate the image so that it is right side up, and I'm going to copy that into our new document. Whoops. Escape, escape, move command, and I will adjust it using the hold down the shift key so that you can drag the image proportionately so it doesn't skew. All right, and I'll accept that. Here we go. So now, using the tools in module 4, this is how you're going to modify some of the colors. Let's take a look. First one is quick selection tool. Now, you have to select on the layers. Pay attention to your layers. This is important. You have to click on the layer that contains the photo. To select an object from the photo, you have to select and be on the photo layer. So using my quick selection tool, I'm going to select the sofa. Notice it's taken other things that are not part of the sofa. So if I go to the top here, I can add the subtraction or the plus. A plus will add to my selection. The minus will subtract from the selected boundary. Now, this can take a bit of time and patience as you have to go around and refine those little details. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom in to get, and the thing is, sometimes the program has a difficulty distinguishing the edges between objects. This is why often when we want to do this, we want to turn the image black and white. We want to increase the contrast so that the boundaries are the edges are more obvious. All right, so I've selected the entire sofa, but I actually want to not include the cushions because I want to create the cushions a different color later. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to subtract the cushions from the selection. By dragging my mouse over the cushions while I'm in the quick selection tool, I'm able to subtract those guys from the entire selection. All right, so for time purposes, I'm not going to go into the clean details, but I would clean up all these little details. So don't leave those little details because they're sloppy and it does show. So now that I've selected my sofa, I want to recolor it. Now to do that, I have to create a new layer for the color. The color should be on its own layer. If I try to color in this sofa while I'm on the photo layer, it's not going to give me good coverage. It's going to give me some spots like this that's going to stick out. So let me not do that. I create a new layer and then I add the color on the new layer. Now before I just use Paint Bucket, make sure you, of course, use your eyedropper tool, select from your color palette, use the Paint Bucket tool to fill in. However, before you fill it in, make sure you look at the top, your opacity. If it's at 100% and I fill in the sofa, it'll be solid and that's not realistic. So I have to play with the opacity. For this one, I put it at 50% and I filled it in. Control D to deselect and there you go. Now to clean it up, like this right here, you can use, of course, the erase tool. If you're on the color layer, you can erase the color off of the layer underneath, and then the layer underneath shows through. So those are things that you can do. I can actually try to recolor in, but that's actually not going to work too well. All right. Here is another one I can erase from this guy. All right, so that's one of them, the quick lasso tool. Let's take a look at the next one, magnetic. Actually, the wand will easily identify an object. So if you did want to edit this color, you can use the wand because since I've already deselected, I'm out of here. So I can't edit this color now. So if I want to edit this color again or go back in there, I have to reselect it. So I can use the wand. It'll quickly identify the edge of the entire color because the only thing that's on this layer is the color. So now I'm able to, again, I can adjust that color there. And again, I can add to it. If I go hold down to select, go back to quick selection, I could go add. Whoops. Make sure I'm on the layer with the photo. There we go. I can shut the color off and I can add the color again if I wanted to. Whoops. So create a new layer with the color. Control D, there we are, I'm out of there. And like I said, if I want to delete some of that color, I can go and use the erase tool and delete it and show the layer underneath. All right, so that's that. Let's take a look at the magnetic lasso. The wand, like I said, only identifies things if it can quickly see the edges or the boundaries of an object. If you're on the photo, it can't really, oops, click the table, it doesn't really work like that. It doesn't really work too well, but sometimes it will. So in this case, it doesn't. All right, let's take a look at the next one. The lasso tool is kind of sloppy, whereas you have to go around an object precisely, which you can't. It doesn't have the level of precision for this application. I would probably use the polygonal lasso, which I did use for my borders here. So you click on the starting point and it drags, it creates straight lines. So you can't really go around curvilinear shapes. I was able to get away with it in this situation. There we go. So now I'm going to create a new layer for the color and I'm going to select white. There we go. And I'm going to fill this color, oops, with white. Oh, what happened? There we go. Now deselect. Now while I'm on the white layer, I'm going to erase. I'm going to erase this right here so that my thing can show through. All right, so there you go. So now it brings back this lantern in front of the white paint. You see how that looks? Again, I'm rushing this because of time. Now let's take a look at the magnetic one. The magnetic lasso, easy again. You can go around an object. So just click on the stopping point and just drag your mouse around an object. You don't have to be extremely precise because the magnetic lasso sticks to the edge. Again, it can have problems if it has difficulty seeing the edge, but it's pretty good, especially around these irregular objects. It sticks to the edges. There we go. So now I've got the table. Again, create a new layer for just the color. And let me say I will, let's change the color to this one and make it a green. Oh, wrong color. Sorry, green has to be on the top. There we go. Deselect. So there's my green. And this is, again, we're going to continue on trying these different tools. See which one works best for whatever. And don't forget, you have the history button. So if you make a mistake, go back. Don't forget to save this. Once we're done, you're going to save as you're going to save as a PDF, Photoshop PDF in the drop-down menu here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right there. You're going to unclick the layers right here. You're going to save it. And you're going to make sure you select the smallest file from this next box. You're going to save it as a PDF and you are done. So I hope this was helpful. Again, you have to practice those different tools. Take your time, zoom in, zoom out. Make sure you create a new layer for the color. Otherwise, it's going to get sketchy and it's not going to work. All right, if you have any questions or comments, you know how to reach me. Hope this was helpful.